Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's April 15th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And what we had was a spike in channel up today, and you can see we spiked up and went into this channel. Early on, it was a little bit hard to find this channel really until we made this high. I was originally looking at it like this, and then it didn't fit well like that. So um, I mean, you can see that it fits in some areas, and then we overshot and came up short, and so it really I took this off and didn't put it back on until we made that high right there. And then once we made that high, this midline fits really well. Everything's fitting well now. We came up short here, and then we got the break, led to a new high, and then we're kind of going sideways. And we were looking for a measured move. I measured it from here. Sometimes it's really hard to know where to take that second leg off when you're going sideways. But generally, it's the last lowest point. So if you move it to here, it's basically a perfect measured leg. I actually measured it from here, and you see I mean that would have got you really close, but it comes up a little bit short. That would have at least kept you in it until the end of the day. So, but we do come up short a little bit that way. So my guess is it's probably right here, and that gives you your measured move. So, but this is where I was looking at it from because that was the lowest point uh, after making this move up. Really, though, if you measure it right here, looking back at it, I probably should have measured my high up to here. So again, I believe this is correct, and it gets you your measured move. So, but sometimes it's when you're just going sideways like that. Generally, your center of your pattern is going to be a clear two-legged correction, and that doesn't. I mean, there's definitely a two-legged correction there, but it doesn't look really clear. And this does look like two legs down. Actually, there's more than two legs. But generally, the center of your pattern is going to be a two-legged correction. And so, in the end, I think it's here. But that was just a little bit hard to find. So, and really, all you had to do was play these the shorter term stuff in here, and you probably would have. It didn't matter if you found the channel on the spike up or not. So, just keep that in mind as well. But let's back out. We'll go through the trades. There's not a lot of them today, so it won't take long to work through this, but let's back. Let me zoom in rather, and where this is a little easy to see. And our 7 o'clock hour came just as we're moving up through here, through this move up. And of course, you got a little trend channel working up. You get a break, a new high, and then you're working down. I don't see any reason to go short here yet. You're really just kind of working sideways. Early on, I had this channel right here. You can kind of see that working across there. But later on, I moved it up here because it fits better down through here. So anyway, we're working down here, and you make a new low, and you bounce off what looks like a possible trend line. There's a shorter term. Let me just make this one a different color just so it's a little easier to see. You got the yellow one, but then this green one was the bigger spike, or bigger channel on the spike up. But I used this one early on, and it's obvious that it's in play. So there's definitely a trend line working up through there. It's in play. But anyway, we run up here, we make this new high, and we work back. I don't see any shorts I like right there or anything. And so when when you get this higher low, it's basically a double bottom, but it's a higher low on a pullback to this trend line, and we really confirmed it here, but you don't have a good setup. So, but it comes back here and gives you a higher low. I like entering right there, and that's a quick, easy move. Then we come back again and get a second entry long right here off the trend line once again. This one takes a minute, but it works out. And then we start working sideways. So we do get our close outside of this one. It doesn't look like we're going to move to a new high, and then eventually we do. I just don't see anything across here I like. This is a possibility right here. I didn't mark it. It's a little bit congestive, and when you get long, you don't have a lot of room back. I mean, this is real tight congestion. So you could argue for that one to at least be green, but I'd probably skip that trade. And we just continue working sideways, and we drop down again. And you can see this time, if you draw this trend line, we bounce off it, but you don't get a setup there, unfortunately. You run up and you get a first entry short, then you come back and you get a second entry short that actually confirms that trend line. So I like going long right there. This is, I mean, we've been trending up and we're looking for prices to possibly go higher here. So on this failed second entry, generally you want to see it come back to the EMA. But in this case, you had a really strong leg here. So you're going to at least probably get another leg up. And if you measure that leg, you can see we got quite a bit of room there left. And so I like going long just because it confirms that trend line. It's a nice setup. It's a failed second entry short. It's probably going to trap the longs. And sure enough, you can see once it pushed above that new high, look how it rocketed up real quick. That tells you it's a sure sign that somebody's trapped in there. So great setup. This is supposed to be right here. And so we run on up and then we start working sideways. This one was very, very tempting. And I'm not sure if it would have worked or not. I don't like it because you're going sideways and this really has no body. It is, you could look at this as a double top, so you could look at this as a second entry, and it is right off the key entry point, but we've been away from the EMA a while, and it's too big a chance it could move up here and then turn down just like it did. So for that reason, I didn't like it. I meant to see how many. Your entry on this one would have been 54.50, and it went to, you would have got just enough to get out of that. So it was a possibility. I definitely wouldn't have entered way over here by the time you just kept going sideways. And that was I mean, you can see that broke higher and instantly turned back down, but it couldn't break through. And then we come back down here again, right down through here. And I actually took this trade. This is a trade that I posted it as a lie. I recorded this trade and posted it, so you'll see it posted if you haven't already. Notice how we're just kind of working sideways there, and you can clearly see the support. You can clearly see the resistance now, and I was really started off looking for a possible second entry long here, and we didn't get it, but we ended up getting this little failed break lower when this turned into a range. And so I like this, and you can see it's right off the midline. At that point, I wasn't looking at this midline because you didn't have anything to measure off the highs with, so it was a little, you probably wouldn't have that midline, in other words. So I didn't have it at the time, and I just liked it because it was off. It was the first break of this yellow channel, and it's a failed break out of all that support. If it breaks higher here, there's a very good chance we're going at least to the other side. We're probably going to make a new high. I mean, this is exactly what I expected to happen. Unfortunately, I couldn't catch a runner. It comes back, and it actually, even if you'd have given it a little extra, 2 or 3 extra tickets, it would have got you. And this is a very small bar. For some reason, I don't know why, suddenly my box is not coming up on the center mouse click, and so I don't know if I've turned something. I'm gonna pause it just. Okay, I don't know what the deal is, but suddenly it's coming back. But you can see this bar now, it's not working again. Well, I don't know if it's my mouse or what the deal is. I just had it working. There it went. And you can see that's 4 ticks there. Sorry, I don't know why I'm having trouble here. My mouse is acting up. I guess it's time for a new one. But you can clearly see that's 4 ticks, very low risk, and it's a failed break lower. You can see that there's 2 legs down and there's a little 2-legged correction in the middle. So there's a good chance we're going to go higher here. And my read was right, but I didn't get a runner on this one. It was easy. It was a quick, easy scout, but it did pull back, take the runner out, and it would have taken out more than even break even. It would have taken out a couple of more ticks on you. So I did move my stop to break even +1 on this one because I didn't feel comfortable with it once it came back that quickly. So, but it went exactly where I thought it would go in the end. But that's the way it works sometimes. When you're in a range like that, sometimes you're just better off to scalp out. So I think I ended up getting something like 16 points on that trade. But it runs up, and then we're working back down. And again, I don't see any reason to go short here. We do have a new high in place. If you got a really good failed second entry long, you might go short on it, but this is not one. We don't even get back to the EMA. You got to go short right into the previous support, and you see it's holding. So just not a good place to go short. Then we work back down here. This one was tempting to go long because you get your close outside and your new low all in one, but it just looks congestive, and so that talked me out of it. And you can see that, that my thinking was correct, that we just went sideways. It still would have worked, but you would have had to ride all this out and wait all that time before you could have gotten out. You could have looked at this as a higher low, but again, it was just so congestive. I don't have the little congestion outline there, but you should have that outline. You can see that that little failed break lower again. You just don't want to enter on that one. I just think it's too risky. You don't have much room there or anything. So, of course, it breaks out, comes back, and you do get a first entry, second entry short right there that fails. Again, it's a little bit congestive, but if we break higher there, it's probably going to trap shorts. And the people that got short here are probably going to have to exit, and you can see that's what happens. But I don't think it was worth risking. And then, of course, you got a new low. So you got another failure right here, but you're just a little ways away from the EMA. Again, it's a very small bar. It's only like 3 ticks. And you should have had this midline by now because you had that high, and if you'd have drawn it, it was pretty obvious. You can see the midline coming into play there. You can see it coming into play right here. So you might have taken that one just for the fact it's a mere 3 ticks. And it is probably going to act like a short trap, and you can see it pushes on up pretty quickly. So you may take that one. I didn't mark it. And we come up short here and sell off. And then, again, this is like a repeat pattern. This looks almost exactly like this. You get your break and new low all in one bar, and then you kind of go sideways and get a higher low, and it takes off. And that's almost a perfect repeat pattern there, except here you get to go long above the EMA. Because it was below the EMA with not much room, I mean, basically you had to go, it closed below it even though it pushed through it momentarily. So I think it's a little aggressive, even though it's a repeat pattern. But if you just wait till the failed second entry short, you get a good one on this setup, and you get a chance to go long there. And again, it turns out we got a little channel working up, but it turns out we're just in a sideways range again. I did mark this one green. Notice that you're trying to go lower multiple times. This is not a very good signal bar, and that's why it's green, but notice we made the low, we tested it once, we tested it twice. It is also a second entry long in an uptrend, and there's clearly strong support across there. So you may take that trade. It's just not ideal. If it had closed a couple of ticks higher, maybe it'd be a little bit better entry. But because it was a second entry and a failed second entry short and a triple test and relatively small bar, only 6 ticks in that bar, you might have taken it if you want to be aggressive. And that pushed it up back up to the highs and took us right into 2 o'clock. Again, I don't see anything worth trading here. There's a failure here, but it doesn't come till here, and it never triggers until after 2 o'clock. So I don't see any reason to take anything else on this day. So not a lot of trades really today. There's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 blue ones, but there's a lot of green ones. And some of these green ones, are close. You could argue for them to be. They're right at the border. This one could be blue. I took this trade myself. I liked it. It's blue. It could be blue, but I marked it green because it's just a little bit aggressive. You need to be, and with aggressive trades, there's no reason you can't take them. If I mark them green, they fit our criteria, but they're just a little more advanced, and you need to be a good chart reader and you need to know that you're reading the chart properly, and you need to be experienced with price movements and so forth. So Otherwise, don't take those trades. They're just for more advanced traders, and I have to go over them because I could just put the basics on here, but there's people at every level. We got some experienced traders that are still learning, trying to get better, and so if I don't show these trades and point them out, then they don't learn. So for that reason, I'm going to put them on the chart. And again, I like this trade. I mean, you could almost argue for it to be blue, both of these. So, but I still feel that they're a little aggressive for a newer trader. Here, a newer trader would probably wait on a high or low, and you don't get one. It just takes off, which is what I figured it would do anyway. But unfortunately, they know where those stops are for even even for experienced traders. They know they're going to keep their stops close here in case they're wrong. And you scalp out and they come right back and get them, and then it goes right where you think it does. I mean, this was so tempting to almost, if it would have broke lower and then went back up, I'd probably say re-enter this trade, but it didn't do that. So it doesn't give you a chance. And really, I was looking for a second entry in here earlier and didn't get a chance at that. And so I just had to wait for this to set up. So you'll see if you haven't watched the trade, be sure to watch that. So anyway, that's what I saw today. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to wrap this day up, and this is going to wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Fridays. We'll be back again Monday, but I'm done for today, and I'll probably take off at lunch today and start my weekend. So anyway, hope you had a good trading week. Hope tomorrow goes well for you as well. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you